You're listed here as a private investigator. What does that sort of...
The wolf has been lurking. Ever since Bigby surprised everyone at the Game Awards in 2019, Telltale has been keeping quiet about the development of The Wolf Among Us 2. Well, I'm happy to say that ends today, right now. We're about to see more, learn more, and sink our fangs into what's next for Telltale. I'm Jeff Keighley, and before we get to everything else, and we've got a lot of information to share today, this is what you've been waiting for, the first official trailer for The Wolf Among Us 2.
One thing I want to tell you about The Wolf Among Us 2 is that...
You're listed here as a private investigator. What does that sort of work entail?
Yep, so...
Depends on the night.
The Wolf Among Us 2...
Most nights it's watching, waiting for a slip-up. I
really
don't know,
like
someone
the
gets
graphics
greedy,
of the game.
someone gets brave.
And that's what you were doing the night of the incident.
We know the game's coming
Yeah.
out next year. We know the characters...
Took me weeks to track them down.
Bigby and Snow are returning to the game.
They hadn't cast so much as a shadow. Till that night.
You've been hesitant to share with
When I
us.
looked at The Wolf Among Us 2 when the trailer came out, it actually
I assume it
looked
has
a lot
something to do
better
with
than the
confidentiality
first
associated
game.
with the job.
And it actually looks pretty good. And the characters are going to be in it. We've got Tin Man. We've got Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. We've got Scarecrow. Will be one of the great characters.
Something like
And
that.
And
Your
I
boss,
think
Miss
that could
White,
be the
said things
butcher,
didn't go as
that
planned.
guy that was
She
at that
mentioned
butcher.
that there was
I think
some
that could be him.
violence?
I don't know if it is. There's a lot of violence in the game, right? Because you know, Bigby is violent. He lost
in the
job.
moments when you find
Actually,
yourself losing control.
So he was expended from being...
How does the anger manifest itself?
But my prediction for I don't think it'll be February anymore. I think it could be spring.
Wow,
What
that
my
was a
favourite
lot to
YouTuber said
unpack
on the
happening
bomb.
in this new trailer.
He
There's a
said
whole
that
bunch
it's
of new
probably gonna
Fables
be
we're
dead.
seeing.
But
Bigby's in, looks like
we'll
anger
see.
management in a new setting, and this is all done in a whole new engine, Unreal Engine. I have so many questions
Well,
here, as
I
I'm sure
think
you
it
guys
could be
do,
spring
but I should probably
next
back
year
up
in
for a second.
2023.
9 years ago, Telltale brought the Fables comics to life with the very first episode of The Wolf Among Us in
can't
October of
believe I'll be
2013,
18 when
nearly
this
a
game comes
decade
out.
ago. It captured gamers' imaginations that fairy tale fables are in fact real and living in New York City. Over 9 months, Bigby's story played
It's
out
been
in the
9
hearts of
years
gamers with
since
Telltale's
the
signature
first
narrative
Wolf Among Us
style
game.
in an amazing
And
comic
it's
noir
been in
presentation.
development for 3
Then,
years, this game.
unfortunately, came the bad news.
The Wolf
While a
Among Us
sequel
2.
was announced, the original Telltale shut down in 2018. A little over a year later, at the Game Awards in December of 2019, it was official.
I don't think
Telltale
this
was
new Telltale's gonna
reborn,
make the
and
mistake
with
that
it,
the
production
original
of a
did, so
brand new
that's
season
good.
of The Wolf Among Us 2 was about to start. After that brief
pretty
teaser at the
happy
show, Telltale went to work
doing
on The
that.
Wolf Among Us 2,
On my
keeping
channel,
relatively
more Wolf Among Us
silent
stuff.
until now.
I will be doing
To talk more about
plenty
why
of
and what's
Wolf
been
Among Us
happening in the
series
background,
this
we've
year
got
in
Telltale
2022.
CEO Jamie
We know
Ottley and Nick Herman from
everything-
Ad Hoc to
we know
answer some of the
everything's
big
gonna happen
questions
for this
that
game.
everyone's been asking.
I'm very happy that we got news last week on The Wolf Among Us 2 and
now they can finally talk about it to tell us more about the why and what's been happening in the background. We've got Telltale CEO Jamie Ottley and Nick Herman from Ad Hoc, who are co-developing the game with Telltale. You guys were a lot of folks that worked on the original Season 1 of The Wolf
Xbox
Among Us,
One,
and now for season
Series
2,
S.
everyone has so many questions based
It's
on
gonna
this
be
trailer.
on
But
PC
before
as
we
well.
get into the content, Jamie, let's talk about where are we right now?
Well, we're actually in the game right now. So this is a virtual set.
So
This is
exciting,
Fables, which is
very
essentially
exciting for the game.
But
And
now
Jamie
redone
Osley
in
was
beautiful
talking about
Unreal Engine. One of the
the
things that we're also
pre-production
excited about
on
is
The
just
Wolf
seeing the
Among Us
trailer. It's like
2.
how faithful it
And
is
the,
to the
Nick
original season
Herman,
1,
whatever
but
his name,
enhanced
Herman,
graphics,
from
but
Adbox
still an
Studios.
amazing story, which is why we're all here
He
for Telltale.
works
We love the story and the
He's
characters.
with
So Nick, tell us a
partnership
bit
with
about
Telltale
the story.
to do
Like,
The
what
Wolf Among
can you
Us 2.
tell us about season
And that's
2?
Well, you know, as
Jamie
we
Osley
saw
will
the
be
trailer,
telling me
he's,
why
in
it's been
anger
taking so
management.
long
He's,
on The Wolf Among Us
kind of
2.
dealing with a lot of those issues still. And, you know, season 2 is you know, still a prequel to the comics, but it takes place about 6 months after season 1, you know, the dead of winter.
So this is what
We'll see
Bigby,
in the book. He's got that
this is the character what they were doing when
Now,
they
you
went in
mentioned
the game form.
6 months
and it
between the
showed
end of
what
season
Bigby
1
Wolf
and the
is
start
gonna
of
look like.
season 2. Can you at least tell us a little bit of what these characters have been
And
up
then-
to in the intervening 6
That's
months?
what Bigby
Yeah, I mean,
actually
Bigby,
looks like in the game.
as you saw, is now
And then
in
you've
anger
got Snow
management,
White,
kind of more
will be
important
popping
because
up
he's
pretty
been
soon.
suspended from his role as sheriff, and he's like protector of Fabletown.
Snow White will be
and
popping
Snow
up pretty
White, you know, at the
soon.
end of season 1, Snow White has kind of found herself in this new role as deputy
There's
mayor
Snow White.
because, you know, the sort of old administration is out, they were corrupt, and kind of rooted that out. And she's got to fill those shoes now. She's kind of got some big ideas on how that's going to happen, but it clashes with Bigby's way of doing things. He's not super personable, and kind of results to some tactics that are less than kosher. So there's a little bit of tension there, and now he's in a new situation where
I'm
he's not
pretty happy.
in Fabletown, and he's kind of out there, and that leads him to meet this detective who is working on this case that kind of blurs the lines between the Fable and Mundy world.
Well, of course,
Yeah,
everyone
I'm
wants to know
actually pretty
which
happy
characters,
that's
which
happening.
fables are going to be represented in this game. You know, we knew he would be back, but beyond that, what can you tell us about like which characters are returning? You talked about Snow, obviously. Like there's certain characters that we would expect to be there, but can you confirm anyone that is going to be there, is not going to be there? Can you deny? Can you say who's not in the game?
What characters are gonna
We
see.
could probably talk a
You
little
know
bit about
that
who else is going to be there. Obviously, as you said,
Yeah,
Bigby
generally
and Snow
said
will be
that
back reprising their
Bigby
roles.
and Snow are returning,
And then there's some
I
fan
think
favorites
that
like
Buckton.
Buffkin
Buckton's
that'll be there, and
returning
then there's
the,
some characters that we're
the monkey.
introducing in the trailer.
And
Do you have any favorites?
there's
from
gonna
I was
season
gonna say there's some
one
tease
called
of maybe some
some
Oz
Wizard Oz
related
characters.
things,
There
right?
are some Oz characters.
What I said in the trailer.
In the game, they're a big addition.
So if they're in the
Tin Man
trailer, does that mean they might be in the
and
I
game?
think we can probably confirm that.
It's probably
Lock
confirmed.
'em
We
in.
probably just showed you that.
But that's part of what I think everyone's loved about this series is so many of the the classic fables represented. And for you guys looking at this, I mean that's part of the fun of this, right? Is picking where the story is going to go. And what I love is that you're not just telling the comics again. So you have a lot of
So it's
creative
I
storytelling
reckon
freedom
it's
to
gonna
sort
be
of
a
come up with
pretty
this, and that
good
must be part of the fun of this series, right? Is you can kind of pull from anything, right?
Yeah, and
Well,
one of the
yeah.
best parts about Fables is how they sort of subvert your expectations of what these characters are actually like and what they would be like
Apparently
now,
Tin Man
versus
probably
the
gonna be a
old
bad
sort
guy
of
in the-
Fables from
in the
contemporary
Wolf
era.
Among Us 2,
And now it's modernized, and
yeah.
they've changed. They're maybe they were that person, but now they're not. You can look at Bigby; he's a
Yeah.
classic example.
So,
But yeah, and
Nick
the
Hammond's
other sort of big
talking
character
about
that we're introducing
some-
is a detective.
probably about the
Faye
story
Young. She's
and,
a NYC,
and this is
New York City police
Detective
detective who's basically in the
Young.
middle of a
So
case
it's
that
gonna be
doesn't
a
quite look right.
brand new
And once Bigby gets his eyes on it, it's like clear,
detective
like something's
for the
leaking out
detective
into the city.
of Fabletown of
So
New York
like
City.
Oz characters, we talked about that.
So I
They're going to
think
be
she'll be
in there doing.
Bigby,
I don't know how much you can say.
I
Like,
don't know
is this?
yet.
Are we looking just at like episode
Um,
1 here in this trailer, or is this kind
Built
of
on
across the
it's
season?
so
or,
great
like, what
that
can
it's
you tell
being
us?
built on a new
trailer's
engine.
pretty focused on episode 1 to
Okay.
set up where we're going in this season.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, if they're in the beginning, you could probably
Yeah,
expect to see them again a little bit
We
later.
would hope so.
I don't think we would
And
introduce
it's
such
good that it's been
cool
built on
characters.
a whole new
Not use
engine.
them.
not
Yeah.
using.
Never know what happens in episode 1, right? But it's
The
like
original
everything can
engine
change. But
wasn't
no, that's part of the thing. I
very
think is
good at
people
all.
know that you're doing it episodically,
There's
and
actually,
everyone I think is also curious
I
about
think the
what
old
the cadence
engine
this is going to be
actually
and how you
made
guys are
Telltale go
developing it.
down.
Telltale is known for incredible episodic games, and that's one thing, Jamie, we should talk about. Like, this is
That's
the new Telltale,
wasn't that great.
and you're using a new engine, which
Yep.
everyone's really
Thank
excited
God
about with
this new
Unreal.
Telltale
So that's is that
doing
probably the
the
biggest
right-
shift is like
doing
moving to
not
new
making the
technology
wrongs
finally.
from the
That's a
original
big
company.
part of it. We've developed a
They're
lot of
making
tools to enable
their
content
own
creation, kind of
building
iteration
very
quickly
good
around
engine.
Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
it really
real
lets us
engine.
focus on
It's
what's unique
actually
to
pretty
Telltale
good.
games, or in the case of Wolf, we needed a specific renderer to get the lighting and the look correct
And,
in Unreal. And then Unreal
We're
takes a
going
lot
to
of
be
heavy
having
lifting
a look
off
at
of our
some
shoulders,
other
right?
characters
Just
in a
bits,
minute.
so we can focus on what we need to do to make the game work.
From a gameplay perspective, though,
Let's
can you
see.
talk a little bit about like the Telltale
Get up
style?
to the-
It's still the same gameplay style in terms of.
For me. And
So,
I
okay, these
imagine
are the
Aaron might
characters,
feel the
Big
same.
Beard
We
Snow.
became so close with these
The
characters and spent
play
so much
Adam
time with them.
and I think
Not to
her.
mention all the other work we've done
But,
with Telltale,
yeah.
that it
They're
becomes
the
more
two
like
characters.
family. The
So this one,
characters, the
Adam
folks
plays
at
Big B,
Telltale we're
and I
working
think-
with.
What are they?
So
Snow.
it really is, it's like coming
He
home.
plays Snow, and he plays Big B.
But that being said, even if there was still some problem and we're still trying to get it done, the fans are going to make sure that it gets done, or heads are going to roll.
Yes, very high expectations.
Yeah, I mean, like Adam said, it's like seeing your best friend
yeah,
after
Aaron-
9 years. You might have an
Aaron
awkward
composed
hug at the
with the
beginning,
snow,
but you
yep.
fall right back into
That's
that
her.
rhythm. I mean, it's in our hearts. And yeah, I'm a player and a fan of the series too, so I'm right with the fans. I am very excited for season 2 that I think we all deserve.
And your characters, I'm sure you were
Yeah.
curious about where the writers were going to take them
Yeah.
in season 2. We know that this is 6 months sort of after the end of season 1,
I
so
really
I don't know
I really like
say what you've recorded or
how
what you
this
know,
game is
but,
going.
can you give us a little bit on sort of,
I
where the
reckon
characters
this
are
new
at?
company's gonna go.
Well, I can say you
way
can expect
ahead
some
what
conflict.
the original did. And they made
Yeah,
it.
the boss lady here, it turns out,
think
has
it's gonna be a
put
better
our
company
favorite
than
sheriff
the
on kind of
original
a
was.
timeout. So the players will be able to
original
expect
Telltale
to
was.
explore
Mhm.
more
Telltale.
about Bigby than maybe they were able to in the first season. And really let him sort of
It'll be
branch
very
out
much
into the
a
bigger
game
world,
lovely when-
figure out
Bob.
what he thinks is right and wrong, what he thinks is good and
And I-
bad.
Versus what Snow tells him is good and bad. Yeah.
Like I said, conflict.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah, I
like
think there's
think
going to be a shift in the dynamic between the two of them. I
Yeah?
mean, in season 1, Snow
Yeah.
is just finding her footing at the business office, and together they uncover all this corruption, which Snow
and
is driven to do something about but doesn't quite know
I don't know
how.
that.
So in season 2, we see she's now deputy mayor. She's stepped up. She has power now, and I don't think she doesn't want to blow it. So she doesn't want to be
Yeah,
seen as
big-
playing
big-
favorites, and that might add some
But-
tension to their relationship.
God forbid.
you know,
Well,
game's
I
not
love
coming out.
that you guys are back right at it as you were
What
in
did you say?
season 1, and then all these new characters. I mean, we saw hints of Wizard of Oz and other
Yeah.
characters coming into the mix. I think it's going to be fun for
Okay.
you to see. Do you have any sense of where they were going with season 2? Like when they first told you, you've known for a while. Obviously, it's coming back, but you've
Yeah.
all of us have waited a couple of years since that first tease in 2019. Do you have any sense of where this is going?
I mean, when we saw the teaser, we just knew, okay, so Snow,
Work is coming back.
Yeah,
Snow has,
this is actually
Snow
happening.
needs Bigby, and there's maybe some conflict between Bigby's natural tendencies, how far he
Yeah.
has to go to get things done versus what Snow
Yeah.
thinks is allowed, and that maybe they're both going to have to test
Sorry
their
about that.
limits here.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
Especially
one
Bigby,
more
apparently,
thing.
because he
Okay,
definitely gets a slap.
Maybe he's
on the
already
paw.
tested the limits a little too
Exactly.
far.
Gone a little too far. Exactly.
I'm
You
very
guys are on
excited.
talking terms, and you're in
Yeah.
the middle of making this right now. I know you're busy
Very
recording,
excited to
putting
come on
together
to
all
doing
these
that, so yeah.
amazing dialogue and all the fun stuff.
Thank
I'm
God.
really sorry
I know,
about
but that's
the
a
talking
great
in the
thing for fans
background.
today. It's like
My
we saw the
mum,
trailer, the
sorry
game looks
about
amazing.
that.
You guys are in the studio
Um,
now working on it. 2023, we're gonna get 5
We'll
new
see what
episodes.
Can't wait.
in 2023.
Amazing. All right. Well,
And
thanks,
I'm-
guys, and we
might
look
be
forward
thinking
to
it'll be
hearing
spring
you next year.
sometime.
Wolf Among Us season 2.
Early
Yeah.
next year.
It will be worth the wait.
Yeah,
Monday.
I can't wait for
Very
people to play
excited
it.
for the game. And then we're heading back to the area where Jamie Oliver will be talking about how the company's taken so long at the Among Us 2.
All right, I'm back here with Jamie and Nick.
we got
Guys, let's talk about
Chairman
the
will be
announcement
talking
of this.
about
We did it together back at the Game Awards in
Jamie Oliver,
2019,
the
which was
introduction of
a
the
big
company,
moment, and it looked great. But I
getting
know at the
company back on
time,
track,
you guys had really put that together. There wasn't a
get
game at
things
all,
back
right?
up
That was
again.
really just sort of
It
like
pro- it did
almost
take
a
so long.
teaser
That's why
asset
it's
made
been taking so
specifically for
long.
the show.
Jamie
It was.
Oliver
We were very much in
Telltale
pre-production,
being-
and we were trying to
being
stand the company
putting
back up, but we
productions
also
up
wanted to let
and
our
Among Us
fans
2
know that
and
we were back
getting things
and
up
that Wolf was coming. So we
running
put that
again.
together specifically for the
Yeah.
show. as a
back up
teaser.
No, I know that's why
company
people were
back
like,
up
"Oh,
again.
can't we see the game?" It's like I think that's all that exists there. But coming out of that, So what
if
has
you guys
happened in the
enjoyed my
past
Telltale
2 years? I
video,
think
don't
fans,
forget to
have
go, friends,
nervously
and,
been hoping
subscribe
to,
if you're
see
new
more on
or
it.
here. If you
And
want
I
to
know
see
we've been
any
talking
of
over the
more
years.
of
It's
my
taken you guys a couple
videos
years to get
or
to this
any of my
point. What has
Telltale
that
videos,
journey been like?
please go
Well, we had
and
quite a bit of work to do to
subscribe
stand the company
and
back
do
up
not
and
miss
just get the
any of my
basic things
Telltale
back in
videos.
place.
Hit the bell,
But
and
most of the
I'll
time, the
see you
creative team's
guys
been
in
in
the next one.
pre-production on
Peace.
Wolf Among Us 2.